All right. Dan Kalis here. We are here with my good buddy, Carl Allen.
Hey,
And hopefully some of you have heard of him before. This is specifically where I wanted to talk today to my friends and my colleagues in the digital marketing space. Carl, I will get to his pedigree here in a moment, but Carl doesn't come from the digital marketing, internet marketing space. He's like a legit, real businessman from the big boy world who kind of found himself coming into this world because the subject matter that he has, which is acquiring businesses, buying and selling businesses, is something that's generally not talked about in the digital marketing space. If you go to some of the best conferences that we love, whether it's traffic conversion or funnel hacking live, these are all amazing places, but it's like there's something missing. And I wanted to bring in Carl because for some of the people in the know in this community, they do know who he is. And I had this fascination, as I know Carl has, to be attracted to some of the best minds in marketing, like Jay Abraham and some of these deal maker type guys who are talking about, optimizing different areas of companies and growing them to these ridiculous sizes. But it's like, what really kind of got me going was, all right, this is great that like I'm learning how to do Facebook advertising and email marketing and lead gen and copywriting, but it's like, what's really the highest and best use of those skills? And, it just so happens that, again, I happen to become friends with Carl. We've done some things together. And I thought nobody better to ask than, is it truly, now you're familiar with this industry, the internet marketing world a little bit, right? Because you've created some courses and things, but it's like, is the highest and best use of those marketing skills to run an agency, to be a coach or consultant, to do an e-commerce business. I'm going to specifically say to start an e-commerce business, to start a SaaS company, to sell information products. So I'm going to leave that as a teaser, but I want you just do like the short version, Carl, of your experience with Bank of America and some of those bigger companies and what you did, how you came to doing now.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty old guy now. I'm 49 this year. I'm 50 next year. So I started my world kind of on Wall Street. So I was a Wall Street investment banker doing mergers and acquisitions and leverage buyout. So that's buying businesses using other people's money. And that's kind of my world these days. So I have a program and I have a system that, and I have some free training as well, where I teach entrepreneurs the 10-step process of finding businesses and buying them without having to invest your own money. You can use other people's money to do those deals. Equity investors, asset-based financing, the good old SBA, their 7A loan program gives you 90% of the funding to buy any business. So there's a really interesting data point that I want to share with you, which is in the US today, there's over 2.4 million businesses for sale. And according to bizbuysell.com, with the largest online business broker, only about 1 in 12 to 1 in 13 of those will actually sell in the next 12 months. And the reason for that is because most entrepreneurs, they don't know how to buy businesses. And secondly, if they want to buy a business that's valued at, say, $1 million, they think they have to rock up with $1 million in cash, to do that deal. You can buy that business for a little $50,000 of your own money. And in some cases, you can actually buy that business without having to invest a single dollar of your own money. And even the deal fees, the closing fees, you can get the business to pay for those as well. So I started my life back in 1992. I was doing, big deals for the likes of GE and Boeing and IBM and all those guys. And then I left that world. I went to business school in Chicago, which I know you're based right now. And then after a little stint in private equity, I ended up at Hewlett Packard. So I was buying and selling businesses for HP, some of them in the billions of dollars. And then I retired from that life about 10 years ago because I was stuck in Moscow on a deal, and my wife went into labor with our child, and I had to kind of get my arse back to the UK, and I almost missed him being born. So I retired. I was 37. I got bored after a few weeks and decided to, be like a micro private equity guy, buy and sell my own little businesses. So I've been doing that for 10 years. I own 17 businesses today still. Typically want to make about $1 million when I buy grow and then sell a business. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, depends on the size of the deal. And then about 3 years ago, I kind of dipped my toe into the online marketing world because all these people were saying to me, you've got to teach this system, you've got to help people, do what you do. There's so many entrepreneurs out there will go and try and start a business instead of going and buying a business that someone's built and doesn't want anymore. The stats are incredible. Over 6 million Americans last year started a brand new company, and 96% of them will fail inside of 10 years. That's according to Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth. And half of those businesses, so over 3 million businesses, will die just in 1 year. And I use the Tesla analogy. So we just, Tesla's now kind of selling cars in the UK, and I just ordered one, and I'll pick it up in a couple of months. And it's like, I wanted a Tesla. Would I go out and buy the wheels and the glass and the aluminium and the battery and the big kind of panel and the glass and the windows and put it on my driveway and then figure out, how do I build this thing? Or would I go to the dealership, buy one that someone else has built, and then finance it through Tesla? So it's the exact same thing. I see so many entrepreneurs going out there and starting new companies, mostly destined to fail, when you could go and buy a business that somebody else has built and doesn't want anymore. And people think that sellers of businesses, they're selling businesses because they're broken or they're bad. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. There's loads of different reasons why people want to sell businesses. In America today, you have this massive factor with baby boomers. There's 10,000 baby boomers retiring every single day, and 19% of them own a small business, and they don't know how to sell it. People get sick, people die, people get bored, people get frustrated. Entrepreneurs, they'll start a business, they'll build it, all of a sudden they'll get bored of it, they'll want to go on to something else. They're happy to sell that business, for pennies on the dollar and get most of their money, paid over time. Most sellers, they want their monthly cash flow. They just don't want to go into work anymore. And that's the perfect structure of a leveraged buyout. Just pay for the business over time.
Now, one thing I want to talk about, no, thanks for sharing that. And I don't want to steal too much thunder from your training, because we're going to, and by the way, a lot of, if you're watching this, you're probably in the digital marketing community. And so, because it's just around us all the time, most trainings and most webinars are, 10% content and 80% pitching. The training that you do, the free training, is unreal. It's like, because the subject matter is, it's not complicated, but it's just something that's outside of the mind of most digital marketers. And so there's a lot of learning curve that needs to happen. So I want to save some of the stuff that's in there for sure. One thing I want to talk about was, do you see that these opportunities are available to both offline? We mentioned the baby boomer business owner. So a lot of times maybe that would conjure up a view of like the guy who's owned the roofing company for 40 years or a dental practice. But like, would you say that what you're talking about, whether you've done it or your students have done it, applies just as much to an online business or an offline?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it does. There's loads of online businesses for sale. So they could be Amazon, FBA companies, they could be SaaS companies, other websites, but then there's a load of like digital marketing businesses for sale as well. There's thousands and thousands of agencies that, people have built. Facebook agencies, SEO agencies, YouTube marketing agencies, general professional services type businesses. And what's really interesting is, now I look at the digital marketing world. So I've been a digital marketer, if you will, for about 3 years. I'm kind of still learning, but learning very, very quickly. I've become a much better deal maker and a much better business owner now that I've got some digital marketing chops. And there's two reasons. Number one, most businesses that you look at to buy do little to no marketing. So they work on repeat customers and word of mouth referrals. They're not plugging in a lot of this kind of new age social media and digital marketing to really get the business to grow. And secondly, as well, when you've got digital marketing chops, it's actually a lot more fun and it's a lot easier to actually originate deals, because most people who want to buy a business, they'll just go to a business broker and they'll look at the deals they have, and most business brokers, they price those deals like 5 times more than what they probably should. So the best way to get deals is to get deals that are off market, that haven't yet been listed for sale. And in the olden days, you had to call people and write them letters. But now, you can leverage a lot of social media and LinkedIn. I have a strategy in my program, and I actually teach it on the webinar, the free webinar as well, where, one LinkedIn post will take you 30 seconds to type it in. You can actually model my script word for word from the free training. You'll get deal flow literally overnight, and then you can start talking, about those businesses. So digital marketing is one of those great, what I call horizontal skill sets that you can deploy into both buying a business and then growing a business to really make it work. And, just to kind of talk through an example deal, let's say you find a business that's doing, $2 million in annual revenues, and it's making, say, 15% net margin. So it's making $300,000 in annual free cash flow. Then on average in the US today, you'll be buying that business for around a 3x multiple. So let's say we're buying that business for $1 million. The SBA are going to come in and give you $900,000 of that money. The other $100,000, you could take $50,000 cash that's already in the business today as your deposit, and then you get the seller to carry the other $50,000 until the SBA loan's been paid off. So you bought that business, you've not taken on any personal expense, and then you grow it. So let's say over a 3-year period, you grow that business to $4 million in revenues, and you grow it to about $700,000 in free cash flow. Now, as a seller with a larger business, and I also teach you, how to professionally market a business for sale, you can probably sell that business for 5 times. So you'll be selling that business for $3.5 million. And let's say you've got $500,000 left of your SBA loan after 3 years when you come to sell it.
Which the company has been paying for, not you out of pocket.
Absolutely. The company's been paying for out of their cash flow. So you sell for $3.5 million, which is 5 times the new $700,000 cash flow. You pay down the SBA, who you might still owe some money to, and you cleared $3 million. So it's $1 million a year times 3. And you could just rinse and repeat that. So you could buy one business, and then you can bolt other businesses into that. You don't have to stop with just one.
So a lot of the digital marketers that are out there that are doing well, let's just say they're doing at least into the 6 figures, if not 7 figures of revenue, and they're very high profit margin. A lot of, and I would include myself in that as well.
Sure.
It's like they're used to a pretty like a lifestyle type of business, which I know you also are all about, right? I mean, you obviously have 17 businesses. You're sure shit not, running all of them, probably not even running any of them. So, so, and that's, I think, attractive is like some people that are in the digital marketing world are going to think, okay, the reason I'm in digital marketing and I have, affiliate marketing or I'm running an agency is I know I can outsource all that stuff because I know that business. But if I'm buying a business that I don't really know that much about, but I want to be in that business, like I want to buy some tanning salons or whatever, can you still make $3 million over the course of 3 years and not have worked full time in that business? That's the question.
Yeah. So you probably can do that with one tanning salon. You might need to buy 7 or 8 of them and kind of bolt them all together. But just generically, by going and buy a business, there's a myth that if you buy a business, you've got to go in there every day, and you've got to drive the bus, so to speak. You don't. I don't spend any time tactically in any of my businesses. I visit them all once a year. I have conference calls with my team every couple of weeks. We have systems and processes that we go through. So I'll get daily sales numbers and I get flagged of any major issues that kind of come around. So there's a big difference between an owner manager who's going in there every day and doing the work and being an owner investor. So the way to really kind of do this properly is to think of yourself as like an angel investor or a kind of micro private equity investor, where you're getting deals done, you're setting parameters for your management team to be able to run that business. Yeah. And generally, you can find a general manager to run that business for you. They may already be in the business that you buy. In some cases, it could be the owner that doesn't want the responsibility of the owning the business, but is happy to stay in there for a while just to keep the train running on the tracks. Or, with LinkedIn and people's personal networks, it's very, very easy, to go and find somebody to run a business. I bought a media company in LA a few months ago called Radio Express. A couple of $1 million in revenues. We bought that business, zero money down. We didn't SBA it. We're just paying the seller money over time. And that business has got an absolutely great management team inside of it already. They didn't want to buy the business. They just wanted to run it. So I have a great team that's, doing all the stuff. And I speak to them probably 15 minutes every 2 weeks. And the business is growing. It's making money. We're going to bolt a couple of other businesses onto that, get it to about 5 million, and then we'll probably sell it within about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. And I think those are great examples that, again, and I think you can't underestimate the momentum that's in an existing business versus starting it. It really is true. But I think this could be broken down into just maybe 3 or 4 different examples, right? Like if you just have marketing skills that are above average, then you're already ahead of 99.9% of offline business.
No question.
And if you're looking at buying online businesses, yes, the owners and founders of those businesses will probably be a little bit more marketing savvy, but I know that still a lot of them are still not that efficient. But the point is that if you have those skills, if you even know how to build a basic funnel, do email marketing, run some paid media, do some content marketing, then like what you could do to any company across the board, you could buy any kind of business you want. Second, though, you had kind of alluded to, if you already own an agency, which a lot of people watching this would, then it's like, well, you could expand the way that you normally do. But how many agencies are out there in the offline world that have clients that are just that they don't even know? Like most of the irony is that most of these digital marketing agencies that serve offline clients, they're not using digital marketing. They're using old-fashioned, really bad things. So you could roll up other agencies into your model. And then the third thing, and I know you talk about this in your in all your trainings as well, but it's kind of like if you are a consultant, so like you have the marketing skills, but if you coach or consult any type of business already, then a lot of times you're only doing that for retainer fees, and
that's right.
A consulting with equity kind of thing. Can you talk about that for just a second? About like that's kind of the next evolution. If you're a coach or a consultant in a B2B capacity, what if you were to start looking at businesses a little differently and structuring that into there? And I think a lot of them are too intimidated with the knowledge you have. They could probably do it though.
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So one of the things that happens obviously in the world, as you just alluded to, is that there are millions of coaches and consultants out there that, for X $1,000 a month or whatever they charge, they are advising and coaching businesses to improve in some way. Could be in sales, marketing, operations, finance, supply chain, HR, doesn't matter. So my advice to those people is do one or two things. So number one, rather than consulting for businesses and fixing them and only getting paid a fee, go and buy a business in that space. And then all of the work that you're doing inside of that business, not only are you getting the cash flow because you now own the business, if you build it and sell it, then you're obviously getting a 6 or 7 figure exit when you decide to sell that business. The other opportunity is, let's say you find a business that you like and the owner doesn't want to sell, but they want to grow, then rather than just getting a fee and maybe a small percentage of any revenue upside or profit upside or whatever you're doing, then translate that into getting a free percentage of equity of the business. So in some deals that I've been involved with, I'm involved in one right now in the CBD online space down in San Diego. I own a percentage of that business just for my strategic value. And as that business grows, then my equity value in that deal grows. So it's only a small percentage, but just for a few hours a month of me consulting with these guys, I'm getting an actual piece of the ownership, not just some monthly fee and a little bit of the revenue share. So those are two ways that a coach or a consultant can get equity in deals and be more of a deal maker in terms of building their own, wealth situation.
Would you, in that case, I don't know if you do it personally or you'd recommend that there's some sort of contingency with that deal that they have to exit within a certain amount of time? Or, if you're sitting on equity, but there's no liquidity, then that won't do you any good. So how do you protect yourself against it?
So there's a couple of ways you can do that. So in all consulting for equity deals that I do, so the CBD deal is kind of an extreme example because I own less than 10% of that. There's a load of other people involved in that. But in a typical other deal, I won't do a consulting for equity deal for less than 25% equity. And what I will always insist on is, as part of that deal, I have an option where I can buy the other 75% at a predetermined valuation within a certain period of time, generally 2 to 3 years. The other thing that you can do as well is a lot of small business owners in the States, they're actually lonely. So, they always say it's lonely at the top. So they're running the business on their own. They don't have anybody to kind of share ideas with or brainstorm or strategize with. So for a consultant to come in and say, look, I'll put all of my skills and my knowledge and my network into the growth of your business. I want a piece of that equity in respect of that work. And then we can either grow the business together and then sell together, so we both cash out, or we can grow it and then I'll buy the rest of it from you at that predetermined situation. Or at any time in the next 3 years or whatever, you can buy me out of my shares for a percentage of that deal at a predetermined rate. So there's all these different ways that you can monetize. But you said it at the start of the call. What's really important is there's a lot more money to be made in owning equity in businesses than there is just coaching and consulting, and getting monthly fees. It's actually much more tax efficient as well. You pay a lot less tax when you sell shares than you do generating income. In the US, depending on your state and the size, it's like 2 for 1. In the UK, it's nearly 4 to 1. It's crazy.
So this is why you're the expert in this, because there's some of these nuances that just again don't, when the average digital marketing entrepreneur is looking at their business, their KPIs, their key performance indicators, they're looking at revenue, profits, cash flow, basic things like that. They're not looking at what's the value of my business, what's my exit strategy, how do I buy the business, how do I put together these deals. It's just another branch of subject matter expertise. It just so happens that you are coming from what I would call the real big business world, incorporating into the digital marketing. Most of the digital marketing folks out there don't have, it's just funny how things work. Now everybody's starting to talk about, maybe branding is important, like what all these big companies are doing. Maybe we should pay attention to that, not just direct response marketing all the time. And so to be, I would say, a viable, true big boy or girl business owner, entrepreneur, and not just a marketer, you really need to start becoming aware of the things that you do, the things that our friend Roland Frazier, these some of the people that are in the space that are like, wow, these people are like real business people. They're doing deals with Damon John and all these kind of people. These are the skill sets that you need to have for that. And
right.
Myself, I'm ready to graduate to that level. I haven't done what you're doing. Obviously, you're going to be working with me and helping me as we go through this. But it's like,
I'll coach you down. Don't worry.
Yes, I'm looking forward to getting that going. But it's like, I have with my brother generated, with our partners, millions of dollars in lead gen and Facebook advertising and doing all these sorts of things. And it's like, I'm ready to start applying that to the next level. And that doesn't mean that you have to only start buying businesses, but it could become part of your strategy of growth, rolling up, bolting on. It's just
most small business owners that I speak to these days, I was on a call literally 2 hours ago with a business owner of an IT services company in the States, and he's looking to sell his business. And his 3 biggest problems are, number one, it's really hard for him to go out and win new business because he does little to no marketing. So it's hard for him to get new customers. He's always kind of hard up on the nose of cash flow, and it's really, really hard for him to go and hire new people. So if you own a business right now and you go and buy another business, you solve all of these 3 problems. So if you have $1 million agency, let's say you're an SEO or a Facebook ad agency, you go and buy an IT services company, you can sell the digital marketing stuff to the IT services customers. You can sell the IT services to the digital marketing customers. And as you bring those 2 businesses together, a whole bunch of costs will come out. Premises, insurance, utilities, maintenance. You get bigger economies of scale. There'll be a whole bunch of people in both businesses that, you only need like 1 CEO, 1 CFO, 1 head of sales. So all this cost comes out. So it's a 1 + 1 = 3 on the revenue side, and it's a 1 + 1 = 5 on the cash flow side. And by doing bolt-on acquisitions and those types of roll-ups, sucking together a number of these smaller businesses and putting them into a group, you can generate some serious wealth if you do that. And we teach that inside of the program that we have.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's you're really becoming a deal maker. And I don't want to go too far because I want to let people just get access to that training. And like I said, I promise you, if you're watching this is not like most of the free webinars they're watching, the content is just off the chain. And if you guys decide that you want to, engage with Carl any further, I highly recommend that. And then it gets even better. But it's, I really just want to reiterate, I think if you're a digital marketing entrepreneur, if you have digital marketing skills in general, if you run an agency, again, you're looking at businesses all the time and you're prospecting. That could be deal flow for that. Maybe some of them wouldn't be great clients. Maybe you'd want to acquire them. And it doesn't even have to be marketing skills. Like you said, if you happen to have, and you don't have to have every skill out there. You could just, if you're really good at one thing, you could drive the value of the business up substantially. So it might be that you're really great at processes. You're really great at operations. You're really good at, cutting expenses, corporate finance. It doesn't matter what it is. If you are, if you're an agency, if you're a coach, if you're doing any of those things, I would just consider up-leveling, upgrading your skill sets for 2019 and beyond to learn how to be a deal maker, to acquire businesses, whether you use your own money or not. And I don't think there's anybody better than our friend Carl here, because he understands the marketing side of it, and he's been there on the corporate side. He's now in this world. So I don't know if you have any other last minute things, but if not, I just wanted to let people know that I'm going to be putting a link to your free training,
great,
the video wherever this is posted, and check it out.
Yeah, so the training's like, as you said, it's not like any other webinar you'll ever watch. It's 95 minutes. The first 90 minutes, as I take people through my entire 10-step system. There's hundreds and hundreds of people have rocked up to that free training. They've gone away and they've done deals just off the the training and all of the free tools that I provide. There is an offer at the end to come into my my coaching program. It's completely optional. Don't have to do it. Some people do that because they want to get ahead and they want to do these things faster and have more resources. But hundreds of people have rocked up, done the training, took the downloads, and gone and done deals. I get emails every week from people that just watch the free training, and a lot of people criticize me and say, hey, you're giving too much away. And I'm like, well, so what? I'm out to empower people and help people, make profound changes in their lives.
Because there's even if you're giving away, and again, it feels like a lot of information because, again, most people that are in this space haven't thought about these kind of things. And so you could give away what seems like a ton of information, which it is, and then they're still going to want a little bit more hand-holding when it really comes down to it. And
maybe.
So, again, we're speaking to digital marketers. There's full transparency. Yes, of course, you have other ways to be worked with. But again, I can't stress enough that the free stuff that you give out is worth so much and worth more than most people charge for. So, and in that, you're going to hear more examples and different things that Carl's done. And it's just really awesome. So this is just a plea from me to my digital marketing entrepreneur community fellow folks to say, this is some information. This is a subject matter. These are skill sets that you need to apply if you're going to be a real entrepreneur. And also, by the way, when the economy has its next down cycle, which it will, and we're not going to predict when it's going to happen, the ability to buy assets or to acquire assets, whether it's real estate or in this case businesses, that's when the real stupid money is made, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it even like we're having a situation in the UK right now with Brexit. So as you know, the UK wants to leave the European Union, and it will make zero difference to the performance of any individual business. But business owners, they're panicking. They're like, I need to sell my business. I want to retire now. So you've got all these businesses coming to market, and it's simple supply demand economics. The valuations are coming down and down and down. If everybody wants to sell Apple shares and there's not enough buyers, it's going to drive the price down. It's exactly the same with what we do. And the US has had that problem for a number of years now. There's just far too many people wanting to sell good businesses than there are buyers out there that have the chops and the right financing mix to be able to get those deals done.
Yep, no doubt. It is the ultimate skill set to merge with marketing chops. So anyway, Carl, thanks for your time. Really appreciate this. And hopefully many people will take you up on your free training and continue to go on to work with you. So
great. See you on it, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Carl.